remarkable group you are. And when I look around this room at these women, you're all leaders in your own right. You're all visionaries, and you're all change makers. And it is an absolute honor for me to be here, to stand in this room today with all of you, surrounded by an undeniable reservoir of power, purpose, and potential. I commend you, Camille, Stutz, Sims, Harvey, for pulling this gathering to get here, these women in this room today, to really talk about empowerment, what it looks like, what it means, because if we never needed that, we do need that today in the world that we're entering. And I just really want to also say something about Representative Shakir Summers, and thank you for making the comments you did earlier about my alma mater, Tougaloo College. That I don't have to get up here and say that, I told her that, so that I won't seem that I'm self-serving about my own institution. But she is just a dynamic young woman. And what pleases me the most in my retirement years is being able to sit back and listen to young or emerging leaders carry on the actions that we need today. Listening to the mad drummer, young people. The words that they're uttered will always be in their minds, because this is why we do the work that we do. When I was president at Tougaloo College, I often said, and I see my former administrative assistant back there said that, I would also tell them that the most exciting thing that I did every day I came to that institution was to survey my surroundings, to look at those young people. On my most trying day, I would walk out on campus and breathe in the energy from those young people, because education is always about the creation of the future. It's always about the creation of the future. And that in fact, that in itself is some sort of legacy. We didn't just gather here to have a lovely afternoon of tea. We're gathered here as an assembly of builders, women who are indeed the architects of their own destiny. And there are no better examples of this than our lovely honorees. So let's give them a round of applause and congratulate them for all that they do to make our communities better. Now, I know that we're pouring in and we're pouring out, and I know I have a topic to address briefly, but this is a spill the tea moment. But not in the usual sense that women gathered in to discuss trivial matters or the latest social gossip. Instead, it's a moment of empowerment, one that reclaims transparency, truth-telling, and community as acts of solidarity and progress. When I learned that Representative Summers was going to be here, I even noted in my remarks before I even heard her that she did not just pour out, she did not just spill the tea, she spilled the whole pot, and she always does. She gives us more than enough to know what's happening, what we need to be doing, and what she is already doing on our behalf every day in the Mississippi Legislature, so thank you. You know, historically, afternoon teas date back to the early 20th century. Tea rooms had also served as a quiet gathering place for the women's suffrage movement. Because women, whether they're quilting, whether they're having tea, have always known how to come together and address the issues that matter to families and communities. So I'm going to just say a few words about this topic. Wisdom that build legacy, how faith, excellence, and education open doors for present and future generations. You know, one of the things because you pray a lot when you're in leadership, and one of the things that I pray consistently for, even in retirement, is wisdom. I pray that for God's uncommon wisdom. I asked for that wisdom that was superior to the combination of experience, knowledge, and careful judgment. I wanted the godly wisdom Carla, granted by the Holy Spirit's anointing, the ability to see life from God's perspective and discern between good and evil, the ability to see from God's perspective rather than human intellect alone. I wanted that which empowers me to make righteous decisions and find practical, loving solutions to complex situations. And I think that made a difference in how I walk the journey of leadership. Well, we might ask ourselves, how do we acquire wisdom? You know, the wisdom is mentioned in the Bible over 284 times. And I gave a speech about that once, that's how I know, and we looked at it and researched that. So it's important. It was important, and when God told Daniel in the book of Proverbs that he admonished all of us, in all they're getting, get wisdom. But wisdom alone is not just the acquisition of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge is not. How do we transmute raw potential into a lasting generational impact? And for me, that answer lies in a single transformative statement that's characterized as education, accompanied by faith. Education is indeed the cornerstone of wisdom. It is a catalyst that empowers us as women to move from the sidelines of execution to the front lines of strategic leadership. When a woman is equipped with learning, she does not just hold a position, she commands a room, an organization, and a future from a place of vision, strength, unwavering resilience, because it takes a lot of resilience to stay the course. When we hear the word legacy, we often think of something left behind, a name on a building, an inheritance in a bank account. But true legacy is not static. True legacy is a living, breathing force. It is a footprint of our values left on the hearts of others. It is a foundational structural progress we build for those who come after us. Let me be clear. I believe that education is a transformative force. Education is much more than a certificate, however, hanging on an office wall. It is the ultimate disruptor of limitations. I heard one of the Mad Drama people talk about disruption. Yes. Education is that disruption of limitations. Historically across the globe, the single most effective way to suppress communities has been to deny women access to knowledge. Why? Because those who hold the key to history know that when you educate a woman, you accidentally spark a revolution. When we empower and educate just one woman, the empowerment naturally multiplies across an entire generation. Education provides us the raw material to build four critical internal pillars: faith, knowledge, skill, and learning. First, education fuels faith, not just spiritual faith, but an unshakable faith in our own capacity. It silences the internal whisper of imposter syndrome. Sometimes thinking that somebody's going to find out we're really not who we are, and replaces it with a data-driven conviction that we belong at the table. How many of you felt that? I didn't belong, or people think I'm this, but I don't see myself as that. That I'm being an imposter, and that imposter syndrome steals our confidence. Second, it provides the knowledge to understand systemic challenges, market dynamics, and historical frameworks. And then it sharpens the concrete skills required to execute complex operations, balance budgets, manage crises, negotiate mergers, and be strategic thinkers and visionary leaders. And education instills a lifelong love of learning, which ensures that a leader never becomes obsolete. When we combine these four elements, we transform. We cease to look for permission. The talent, intellect, and raw capability to lead are already there, locked inside us. It is simply our collective duty to unlock that potential and give us room to lead with vision and command. With wisdom securely anchored by education, we are uniquely positioned to lead any organization, whether it's your community, corporate, nonprofit, civic, or familiar, from a distinct posture, all 5 dimensions of power. And I know you know what they are, but it's vision. It's the ability to see things which don't necessarily exist in the visual. And educated, wise women don't just see an organization as it is. And that's what all of you represent here. It sees what, the women see what it can be. They see the untapped markets, the community solutions, and the strategic path forward. Strength, not the physical dominance, is that quiet internal fortitude that allows us to stand when the wind blows sideways. You know what I mean? When you're walking down the street and the wind blowing you and you stay. It's the strength to make unpopular but necessary decisions. Confidence. When my oldest son got his driver's license, I said, well, you know, everybody said, oh, you'll be all right, because he's confident. That is the most powerful tool we have at our exposure. When you know your subject matter, when you've done the homework, your voice doesn't shake when you speak truth to power. Some of those powerful speeches by women in human history were anchored by a fearless, unshakable confidence in their own voice. And I heard someone talk about that earlier. You talked about that. And immediately, Fannie Lou Hamer came to mind. She had a tremendous impact on my life at age 17 when I met her in Mississippi Delta. One of the greatest orators I've ever heard. But her courage, her confidence, her resilience, her courage, her belief in what she was doing. And she had a 3rd grade education, but she commanded the public's attention. And the other person was U.S. Senator Barbara Jordan. They had the confidence in their own voices. And confidence comes when your mission is larger than your comfort. Commitment is the dedication to stay the course long after the initial excitement of a new project has faded. It is an alignment with purpose over applause. Resilience, and we must be honest that it takes resilience, because the pathway of leadership for women is rarely paved with rose petals. We will face bias, structural inequities, glass ceilings, and outright skepticism. Everybody wants to question whether we belong, whether we know what we're doing, what did we wear, did our shoes match our outfit, how was our makeup on, all those trivial things. Have you just heard the comments that people are making about our chief of police? How she wears her hair? Where's it? She just put it in a ponytail? So you have to have that resilience. But resilience means that failure is never a destination. It is simply data. It is the capacity to absorb a hit, to evaluate the setback, to adjust your strategy, and step right back into the arena. Why do you think we keep fighting so fiercely for women to lead in every organization at every level? Why is it important? It is because women do not lead for self-glorification. Now, there are exceptions in every corner, but history shows that when a woman rises, she pulls her entire community up with her. In a famous address highlighting the profound global truth of gender equity, it was famously stated that if we take bold steps to improve the lives of women, we inherently take bold steps to secure and better the lives of children, families, and society as a whole. Just take a look at our neighborhoods today. We see lots of gaps in healthcare, challenges in local education, and corporate initiatives are very vital, and government involvement. But they like a soul without grassroots support. We need women who are willing to be the change. And that's what the Representative Summers was echoing. We need women who are willing to be the change that we so desperately speak about. I speak from a deep personal conviction when I talk about the power of education and how we as women are called to serve and lead. Obviously, I'm a black woman. But I'm a black woman who chose to stay and build her career right here in my segregated home state of Mississippi. I have gray hair. I'm a child of the South, the segregated South, Mississippi, where opportunities were not nearly as broad as they are today for the young people coming along. I did not leave Mississippi to find my purpose. I rooted myself right here in this soil. I decided along with my late husband that Mississippi was where I wanted to continue to live, to raise my family and have an influence. We did it without ever having regrets. And it was a quality education that prepared me to do so. It was not only the lessons that I learned in a formal schoolroom, but those lessons that I caught growing up in my village of Mount Wade with church community support. Seeing the people around me exercise community leadership every day of their lives and helping community build, and helping people who didn't have what they needed, to helping to break down the barriers of oppression. Education gave me the tools to think broadly. It instilled in me a deep sense of social responsibility, and it forged an unshakable commitment to excellence and social change. When a woman is equipped with learning, she just does not hold a position. She commands a room, an organization, and a future from a place of unwavering strength. I know, Representative Summers, just like you, what it means to be in that legislative hall and be before budget hearings and people to look at you as though, you know what you're doing, are you giving me smoke terms, and then having to stand there and continue to push forward the agenda that you believe in. I know what it means to serve on a foundation and corporate boards, and I know the weight and privilege of institutional leadership, having served for 17 years as a college president and the first woman to lead my alma mater. These accomplishments did not make me arrogant. They made me more humble, more compassionate, and more determined that I would not be the last. So I was willing to take the risks that come with being first, because somewhere along the line, maybe not in that quarter, but someplace else, another woman had done that for me, nameless and faceless, but had done that. When you're first, there is no blueprint. You face the quiet skepticism of those who are unaccustomed to seeing someone like you at the head of the table, or even in the room. You feel the friction of institutional inertia and endure the noise. What sustained me through my many lonely meeting rooms and difficult legislative budget hearings was my faith, my unwavering dedication to the work, and the conviction that I was not simply occupying a seat, I was opening doors for other women like me. Though I might have been first, my commitment was that I would never be last. Historically, black colleges have served us well as cornerstones of American society and acts as engines of upward mobility and cultural preservation and valued leadership. You know the story because many of you in here already have graduated and sending your children to HBCUs, and I can only encourage you to do so. These institutions have served as incubators and our community anchors. They still do. But they are at risk today for lack of funding, for people thinking that they're not needed anymore, for even us allowing a narrative to be advanced that questions the value of an education. Only we can stop that. We the people.
That's right.
We the people. That's where the power lies, in we the people. And these institutions have been so effective in moving first generation and low-income students into the top tier professions and the income brackets. So we must find ways that we can support these institutions and expand access to quality education, as Representative Summers knows so well, that every child has that access from pre-K through college. There was a time, I'll tell you why this is so important, and I'm skipping around a little bit to get through this. There was a time when learning to read was illegal.
Yeah, right.
A stark reminder that education has long been recognized as a powerful challenge to oppression. If they don't want you to learn to read, they keep information from you.
Yeah.
That's why our books are being attacked.
Yes.
That's why they're being banned
Yes.
from school, because they don't want you to read and learn and understand and become motivated and inspired that we're going to change the trajectory of our country.
Right.
My parents taught me, and I know your parents taught you as well, that education is essential because it is something no one can take away. Yet today, we're allowing that discussion to take place. College is only for certain people. And I said some time ago when the attack was on HBCUs and their relevance, and it was like 20, 25 years ago, I said, and they were putting money into community colleges for professional technical jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. Let me stand here and say that. College might not be the route for everyone, but everyone ought to have that option to make that decision for themselves. They saw the browning of America. They became angry, and they became afraid. So they started attacking education. HBCUs that have educated by the majority, the black professional groups here, that we know as doctors, lawyers, judges, educators in every spectrum. You keep us from being able to have those credentials, you may be in the minority because the browning of America is occurring rapidly. They can't stop it. You may be in the minority, but you can still have majority control. America can begin to look like South Africa, apartheid. And I warned against that, and I see it closing in on us, but we can still stop that. South African President Nelson Mandela said that education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. And W.E. Du Bois said that of all the civil rights struggles we have encountered, the right to learn is the most fundamental. And as I close my comments out, I leave you with this clear call to action. Do not wait for someone to hand you a microphone or invite you to lead. The wisdom you carry now, regardless of what walk of life you're coming from, shaped by your education, lived experience, struggles, and faith, has already affirmed your authority. Go back to your businesses, go back to your nonprofits, go back to your school boards, go back to your churches, and go back to your homes, and lead from a position of absolute strength. Mentor a young woman, fund a scholarship, volunteer in your community, actively disrupt the status quo. Organize your communities and engage your churches to mobilize people again. Camille and I were talking about that, how once the churches were the leaders, we got to get back to that. We are facing a crisis in our nation, and our democracy is in danger of collapsing. Only we the people can save it. We must educate, we must mobilize our people to register and vote. and vote like our lives depend on it. I echo what our representative, I'm promoting you, I'm a fan. I'm echoing what Representative Summers said. Everyone vote matters. And bad officials are elected because good people do not vote. And what's sparked Camille was seeing the attack on our voting rights and other civil liberties, but the voting right, and I'm probably sure I won't get on that, but the Voting Rights Act is what got us the accomplishments that we can see today.
That's right.
We can choose who we want to lead us. We can hold them accountable. That's how we act in defense of democracy, saving our democracy. We don't have a perfect democracy, but think about an autocracy. That history say that this generation of women get more than endure the challenges of our time. We create a lasting model for an empowered future. Let us build a legacy so strong, wise, and grounded in education that our daughters and granddaughters can stand on our shoulders and rise even higher. This wisdom is not the hoarding of wealth or the protection of past achievements. It is the deliberate passing on of knowledge, inspiration, and values to the next generation. Legacy is about investing in people. So let us move forward with courage, lead with strength, and build that legacy together. Let us pray for courage to speak power to truth, strength to stand firm, wisdom to advocate effectively, and commitment to act responsibly. And may God empower the voices and guide our actions so that they reflect both justice and compassion. Thank you all.